Hey, Rick Sayes here. Welcome to Season 3 of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, recorded at the Surf City Studios in Costa Mesa, California. I have another great season of interviews with retailers, brand managers, athletes, executives, and others in the outdoor biz to share their stories, tips, advice, productivity tricks and hacks, and ideas you can use to take your career business to the next level. Today's podcast is brought to you by InMotion Hosting. I've used InMotion Hosting to host my websites for years. Rick Sayes Photos, blogs, Stillwater's Consulting, and the Outdoor Biz Podcast are all hosted with InMotion Hosting. If your New Year's resolution is to publish a blog, produce a podcast, or simply secure a domain name, go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/InMotion and sign up with them today. They make it simple and quick to get a new site up and running with easy installation tools. That's theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/InMotion. Get going today. I enjoyed speaking with Dave Polivy from Tahoe Mountain Sports. He's one busy guy. In addition to leading the team at Tahoe Mountain Sports, he's also involved at the federal, state, and local levels of politics. Dave tells us about his work with the OIA, the Corp group getting an office for outdoor recreation established in California, running for town council in Truckee, and more. Whew. Thanks, Dave. Hey, Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, good to chat with you. So you're up in Tahoe today, so it was a nice day, huh?
Yeah, it's beautiful out, and
Cool.
we're up here based in Truckee, so just outside the basin, but kind of as what we like to call the local spot around here.
Yeah, nice. It is beautiful up there. So let's start with your first exposure to the outdoors. How'd you get into the outdoor lifestyle? What was that like?
Well, my parents, as most people do, I would say it started with my family, especially with my dad. My dad was a sailor, actually, and a skier. And so I kind of grew up on sailboats in the summertime and hanging out by the ocean. I grew up in Connecticut, so we'd spend a lot of time in Long Island Sound and sailing out to Block Island and some of the really fun places like that. And then in the wintertime, we'd head up to Vermont and, go skiing and do all of that. And sort of that kind of started me out in the outdoors. But, other than that, I'd really say it took me till about high school to sort of really get into more of the traditional outdoors of camping and hiking and sort of survival.
Do you do that with your high school buddies? You guys just go camping or?
I started actually backcountry skiing is really how it started. I started backcountry skiing in high school because I had been skiing my whole life, thanks to my parents, and they were really generous with that. But I kind of got bored Alpine skiing. I tried ski racing, and growing up in Connecticut, ski racing basically means that you go to school all day, you go to your little hills, about a half an hour away from the house, and you're paying gates at about 8 o'clock at night in like negative 20-degree temperatures. So I didn't like ski racing.
I don't blame you.
So I ended up telemarking, which then led me into the backcountry and started heading into the backcountry in my old Merrill Super Comp boots and those seal skins. They were almost like rubber channelized skins back in the day. And the Adirondacks was where we started going. So that's kind of where I started. And then I got to take a NOLS course when I was 18, and that sort of sealed the deal. I would say.
And what was your first outdoor job? Did you guide?
No, I didn't get a job. I actually worked in the restaurant industry for all the way back into high school. When I was 13, started working in restaurants all the way through high school. Took some time off before I went to college, stayed in the restaurant industry in college. And actually, when I moved out here to Tahoe in 2001, one of my epiphanies during my drive across the country was I will never work in the restaurant business again. And I said, well, what am I going to do? And I said, well, I guess I really want to work in a ski shop. So I moved to Tahoe in 2001 and started working at their retail store up at Alpine Meadows. So basically a resort ski area job was my first outdoor specific job.
Wow.
And it was really fun. I got to ski.
Sure, right. You got to play with all the toys.
That's all that really mattered back in those
days. That's why we all did it.
Right.
And then when did you get involved with Tahoe Mountain Sports?
Yeah, so after that Alpine Meadows job, I met he was my manager at the time, a gentleman by the name of Jeremiah Skirvin.
Okay.
And he came and took a job in Truckee at a store that still exists, but under a different name. It's called the Sports Exchange at the time. And we had both, and then he came and got me and said, "Hey man, come and work with me over here. It's way better. And we don't have to work for these corporate guys." So we both ended up managing what was then the Sports Exchange right here in downtown Truckee, and kind of took it from like a used gear shop and slowly convinced the owners like what we were doing made sense and was going to make them more money. And so they kind of let us run the show for about 3 or 4 years.
That's cool.
And then we headed into the good economy of about 2005, 2006, and they wanted big money. They wanted to sell, they wanted to retire, and they wanted money that we knew that store wasn't worth at the time. And they ended up selling it to a Caterpillar tractor salesman from Lodi, which is in the Central Valley for any of you listeners that don't know California well.
Yeah.
And that Caterpillar salesman from Lodi came up and didn't know anything about retail, and especially about outdoor retail. And we quickly realized we weren't about to teach him, and that we had a pretty cool skill set, and actually joined up with a former affiliate manager from backcountry.com. And 3 guys around a campfire with $1,000 started TahoeMountainSports.com at the time, in the heyday of e-commerce, and started buying inventory from there.
Cool. So at those early days, it was only .com. Where were you shipping out of, like your garage, or what was that like?
It was .com. It was kitchens and garages and storage units, and it was in the beginning of cell phones. So we all 3 had real jobs that actually paid us. Right. And, everybody would sort of take turns getting the 800 number forwarded to their line, and then we'd all be like, "Hey, who's shipping today?" And somebody would always cruise over and get the shipping done. And really it was sort of a trust factor. We had built great relationships with some sales reps through our days at the Sports Exchange, and so they said, "Whatever, we believe in what you guys are doing. This is kind of where commerce is going." And they gave us credit, shockingly, maybe stupidly.
Well, it turned out good in the long run. Turned out to be a smart decision in the long run. Yeah.
We do have some of our original partners like Deuter and Liberty Mountain. Those were some of and Mahmood, actually. Those were some of our original partners back in the day, and they're still partners of us today. But what happens kind of similarly, you probably heard the story, 3 guys, in their 20s, you get along for maybe a year or so, maybe 2, and then it all starts to unravel real quickly based on, who's worth what, and the infighting begins. And so now my wife, she wasn't my wife at the time, she was just a girlfriend. She came in and said, I think this sounds pretty cool. How about I buy those 2 out and get this thing going?
Cool.
And so she did. Nice. And that's where she and I kind of took control of Tahoe Mountain Sports. That's when we opened our first store over in Kings Beach. And kind of kept going from there.
That's
now
cool.
We've just evolved and evolved.
Well, and you guys have built quite a bit. I mean, both physically and online. You've done both super well. I mean, it's I hear all the creative things. I had a friend of mine, Paul Broderick. His son worked for you guys for a while, and he was always telling me all the cool stuff you guys were doing.
Yeah, Adam's worked for us a couple different times.
Right.
So he was great, and he's become a good friend. And he'll like the shout out, go Broderick. He's in Colorado now.
He goes hard. He goes hard. But, so all those creative things, did you dream that up, or did you just copy what other people are doing? How'd all those cool things come about?
Man, I don't know. I think
MSU, make stuff up, right?
Yeah, it was really a combination of everything. I mean, we really got started in the heyday of e-commerce, and we did really well. We were really into it. We were making the technology investments, as we were saying back in the day, to keep up with the Joneses. We were watching what backcountry.com was doing. And while we realized we were never necessarily, we didn't want to be, we're going to be a backcountry.com, we really thought that we could use the name Tahoe Mountain Sports and people's association with Tahoe to really develop content to get out there. And it was funny because we actually started creating all these YouTube videos. We were having all these clinics in the store, and we saw all this. We're like, wow, these reps are coming through here 2-3 times a year. They're dropping all this amazing information on us, and we're doing nothing with it. And so we actually started, putting up our clinics on YouTube, and quickly became the highest viewed retail, or even with the big guys, on YouTube. This was
Wow.
back in late 2000s.
Wow, that's smart.
Well, the problem was it was about 10 years too early.
Well,
if we were the best viewed retailer now, we might actually be making some more money off the job.
Yeah, pioneers always set the stage, so you were ahead of the game.
Exactly. We started a lot of this. We've had a content strategy from day one. We've had a YouTube strategy from day one. And things going full circle. We actually shut down our e-commerce side of our business about 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago now. So now we just have the brick and mortar retail store here in Truckee. We do continue to sell on Amazon with the brands that partner with us on that platform. But we have abandoned the shopping cart on TahoeMountainSports.com. And I would say for the better at this point. E-com is huge.
Yeah.
It's hard for a store like us to keep up. And, we're really seeing the results of that on our profit and loss and our bottom line. And it's been, we're a much more well-oiled machine at this point.
Yeah. Amazon really set the consumer expectations super high, and you got to do a lot of things right to keep up.
Yeah. And that became really, really frustrating.
When
your image is black, but the zipper's on the left, but the backpack came, the zipper's on the right.
Right.
Man, you wouldn't believe how fired up people get when that zipper's on the wrong side of that backpack. They wanted the old version. They didn't want the new version.
Yeah. And they're quick to tell you about it too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the feedback is instantaneous.
So it's interesting that you guys are now no or limited e-commerce, and the world is evolving to more e-commerce. What are your thoughts on the current state of outdoor retail? I mean, it changes, seasonally.
It changes
for sure.
quickly.
Yeah.
I'm always hopefully optimistic. I'll start with that. I believe there's always a place for local stores. I believe that our communities are only going to be as good as we make them. And so I've taken much more of a community approach to both my life professionally, but also to my store professionally. And that's investing in your community so that the community wants you to stay there and they want you to be there. And because of that, they're going to support you. So people want to touch stuff. They want to try stuff on. While the internet is popular and it's going to, it's replacing retail, it's up to us as store owners, it's up to us to remain relevant.
Yeah.
And you're going to know really quick if you're not.
Oh, yeah,
you're
totally.
going to lose sales, but if you're successful, you're also going to know that too. And people are going to tell you. So really, I'm hopefully optimistic that, our downtowns and our communities are going to stay, populated, and stores are going to be able to remain, and the internet's not going to take over the world. And, in that same respect, I see a lot of people talk about Amazon and this other stuff, but, REI is, equally a threat, and they get brought up a little bit more, and, quietly, but, equally as much of a threat with kind of their expansion plans too. So.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think, and when you look back at the death of retail a few years ago, it was a lot of the folks that were kind of needed to go away, right? I mean, they were not that great retailers, and they got went by the wayside. And the guys that are left are the guys that are either doing all omni-channel or at least have a really solid brick and mortar and loving their customers to death. So that's great.
And I think the brands have helped out a little bit too. I think the limited inventory is a good thing for the industry. I think, building to orders and stuff like that, it keeps a lot of that sort of side business out and clouding up the market. So I think, if you're looking for a certain product and it's a hot product, you're only going to find it in stores these days. There isn't all this extra inventory floating around out there.
Scarcity is a good thing. Drives demand.
It is. I agree. I agree.
We were just talking about that this weekend.
Awesome.
Conversations. So you've also been involved at the federal, state, and local level in various offices of, political persuasions locally, and you're working on the state recreation thing for California. Tell us a little bit about all the work you've done there.
Yeah, that's like a whole nother podcast for me.
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Right.
We're gonna have to. I'm gonna try to briefen this up and cut me off. So maybe I'll start federally and then I'll
There you go.
finish
Start. Yeah.
locally.
Start
But
big and work small. There you go.
so I got involved with the Outdoor Industry Association approximately 3 years ago. When Ann Kirchick, she was alive and
Mm.
well, and she and I attended a summit here in Tahoe together on behalf of the outdoor industry and started talking. And she really she was one of my mentors in the industry as well.
Mm-hmm.
So many other people out there
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. A lot. Yeah.
And she was amazing.
Yeah.
And
She was.
so
Yeah.
she got me involved with the Outdoor Industry Association's Recreation Advisory Council, which is kind of a subset of their board, feeding record policy into board discussions and the OIA's DC arm basically. And so I've been on that committee for a long time and have been able to engage both in DC and via my representatives, both McClintock, who's our House of Representatives representative here, in addition to Boxer and Feinstein and now Kamala Harris. So that's been great to actually develop a relationship on behalf of the industry with those folks and see how things actually work and try to work together. But that doesn't always work so well, specifically with Mr. McClintock.
Yeah.
But won't go there.
Yeah.
On the state level, we've been working really, really hard. Again, with a big thank you and shout out to the Outdoor Industry Association and their assistance at the state level policy work. Kalen O'Brien-Feeney, if you haven't had him on your show, get him on.
That's good.
Just moved
Yeah.
up to Oregon.
Yep.
He's a great asset, but he really set California up for success. So myself and Kenji Hartunian, who
yeah, he's been
Matt
on the
Lyon, he's been on the show. Matt Lyon is the CEO of HydroPack, and a couple of others, Steve Barker, of course. We've all been working pretty hard to get our California Outdoor Recreation Partnership, short for Corp, or long for Corp, to promote this Sustainable Office of Outdoor Recreation at the state capitol. And we are so close.
Yeah, close, right? Yeah.
We passed the House, we passed the Senate, we're on the governor's desk. So any outdoor industry folks that are listening right now, send a quick tweet to Governor Jerry Brown and encourage him to sign
that thing.
1918. We're there. We're in the home stretch, and if we can get his signature, one of the biggest accomplishments for our industry in California, we are just going to be it's going to be so awesome. So I can't wait. And for listeners, really, not to get too sidetracked, but really this is kind of, at least in my mind, this is like the combination of tourism, recreation, infrastructure, economic development, and resources, all coming together under an umbrella, right? We spend so much on tourism, and if you see these Visit California ads, they're like advertising Yosemite and the ocean all the time, but they're not investing in those places. And so to me, it's how do we bring all of these entities together to actually talk and create additional investment for our amazing outdoor rec economy.
Right, that's huge. Yeah, we'll put a link to that in the show notes so people can
that'd be cool.
follow up.
And then finally, locally, I'm running for Truckee Town Council.
So very cool.
I'm in the midst of a pretty heated campaign here in our little town in Truckee. Wow. We have 7 candidates running for 3 seats. So. If you happen to be in Truckee, I'll take your vote. If you're not, you can go to polivyforcouncil.com and give me a small donation. I'll put it to good use. I promise.
You go.
So I'll get my plug in.
We'll link to that too. Yeah. So heated. Awesome. That's 7 folks running. That is quite a battle, huh?
Yeah. It happens here in Truckee. People get fired up, and it's a small town, and we're growing fast, and Bay Area is expensive, and Southern California is crowded. So you get these really desirable places like Truckee and Mammoth and, Quincy, and, you find these really gems that exist. And I mean, I came here in 2001 and I can't really leave. So,
it's a great
I can't
spot.
blame anybody else.
Yeah. No, I've been up there many times, not lately, but I've been hanging up in the Highway 4 corridor lately, which is another great spot.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful down there. But people want to be here. So there's a lot of growth, and anytime there's growth, there's everybody's got an opinion on it. And,
Yeah.
you know, I just bring that balanced business mindset to a lot of this decision making. So.
Right. Awesome. Well, that's good. Well, we'll link to
Yeah.
that too. I hope you win. We'll do what we
Thank
can
you.
to get you some votes or at least something, some
Thank
energy.
you. I appreciate it.
Right. So let's shift gears a little bit. Do you
Sure.
work with any other nonprofits, local nonprofits, or any of
I
that kind of
do.
stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working with nonprofits for many, many years. Currently, I serve on the board of the Tahoe Backcountry Alliance.
Okay.
We are an organization working toward human-powered recreation, human-powered winter recreation in the Tahoe and Tahoe and Truckee area.
Mm-hmm.
So, been working hard. Forest Service has all their kind of over snow vehicle plans coming out,
Yep.
and we've been working hard on that. I used to be on a board with the Mountain Area Preservation Group, which is sort of a local land use entity. I'm on the Truckee Planning Commission right now. So kind of weirdly, I really like land use and kind of how we develop our communities, and that probably goes back
pretty important.
to
That's one of the, I mean,
yeah.
Well,
I think we should be investing in our communities, and I want to see our communities develop. So it all kind of comes full circle.
Right. Very cool.
But yeah, I'm doing a lot of stuff and just, I got a daughter, so, involved with the school and soccer and all that other.
So with all that stuff you're doing, when do you have time to play? What outdoor activities do you get to participate in?
I try to wake up as early as I can.
Yeah. Okay. You're right.
I definitely, I ride my bike a lot, big mountain biker,
cool.
big runner. So I go out running. I try to run or do something every morning. A lot of now, unfortunately, it's dark at 6 a.m. But, 6 to 7 a.m. is one of my big rec times after work as well. And, I get to live here in Truckee. So
it's close.
Literally,
yeah.
I walk out my door and I have a 4 or 5 mile trail run.
Nice, yeah.
That includes one of my other favorite pastimes, which is disc golf, which a lot of people don't know about me. But I bring my disc. I get a 5 mile running in the morning. I can play 18 holes of disc golf on my second and third mile, and then,
that's cool.
Get a few other miles kind of on the front and back of that. So I run, I bike, I ski in the winter a ton, and
I gotta check out that disc golf thing. I didn't. They have one up at the Bear Valley Adventure Center. I haven't played it ever, so I need to check that out. That looks like fun.
It's a great outdoor activity. It's something you can do with your family, with anybody of any age, and it literally costs $20 to buy a couple of discs. And there's no lift tickets or park fees or anything like that. So really low barriers to entry.
Doesn't take 5 hours like a round of golf does.
Doesn't take 5 hours, and it's not a $5,000 mountain bike either.
Right.
So there's, you can make it happen, but that's, I love doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. So do you have any advice or suggestions for anyone wanting to get in the outdoor biz, or maybe if they're already in the biz, grow their career?
Be careful.
Be careful what you wish for.
Be careful what you wish for. I would really tell people to just do their homework these days. I think there's so much out there, and one of the best ways, and I've done this with a few folks here locally, like just go and talk to people. Don't believe everything that you read. I work the sales floor sometimes in my store, and I enjoy it because it really gets me in touch with the customer. And the famous line from any customer is, well, my friend told me to buy this, right? And let's say they were talking about a pair of shoes, and I go, oh yeah? I'm like, what size foot you got? Size 9. And how's your arch? Oh, really high? And I'm like, yeah, is your friend a size 9? No, they're a size 12. And I'm like, and are they a man or a woman? Oh, they're a woman,
Right.
And so, you listen to, there's so much chatter in our lives, both online and in person. And all I would say to somebody is, get into outdoor retailer, go talk to like as many people as you possibly can.
Yeah, everybody,
brands,
right? Yeah, that's good advice.
Brands and marketing people and industry people and store owners. With no matter which part of the industry you're going to get into, make sure you get a good feel for what's going on out there, and make sure you're going to bring something special, and make sure you're going to do something that's relevant. Don't just open a store for the sake of opening a store, is all I would say.
Right.
Make sure you have a reason for wanting to do it.
Have a purpose. That's great advice. Yeah, I think that's good. And an outdoor retailer is a great connection point to, like you say, talk to anybody and everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Just go there once,
Yeah,
make
right.
sure you know what you're going to do.
Yeah. And have a battle plan.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely have a battle plan or you'll just get swallowed alive, right?
Right. So you talked to us a little about your daily routines. Do you have any
Yeah.
other, meditate, walk the dog? You just get out and get some
I
exercise?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one of those new age dudes, I guess. I don't know, whatever you want to call me. My staff makes fun of me. So it's all good.
That's funny.
But I do try to meditate twice a day.
Okay.
My wife is the one who I thank for that amazing practice. She's really helped me understand what to do and how to do it. And so I use a little trick of the trade, an app called Insight Timer.
Oh, yeah, I
For
have
any
that.
other meditators out there, folks wanting to get into it. It's a great app. And I really enjoy just try, 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes before bed, stuff like that, maybe 20 if you have a little more time. A little bit of time to clear your head is amazing. So meditation is certainly one, and yoga and everything else. I just got back. I got to do my first 4 days. Do you know what the Wanderlust Festival is? Have you ever been to
No, I
Wanderlust?
haven't been. Haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, so
Wanderlust.
it's a yoga festival,
Okay.
and it's amazing. And they come to Squaw every year,
Oh.
and I've gone with my wife for the past few years and only gotten to go one day. And this year I went 4 days,
Wow,
and
cool.
it was out of this world, and I loved it. And I've been doing yoga for, I don't know, 15 years or so. But just, yoga, meditation, and being really conscious of your language and everything that you do on a daily basis is really what happens in this day and age. And as a candidate, I'm learning this even more.
Right,
So,
I'll bet. I was going to say, you got to
just gotta
mind your
be
P's and
careful.
Q's. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll link to Insight Timer. I use that a little bit too on Wanderlust. I'll check that out also. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are just some good
How about
tips.
books? Do you read a lot? Do you have any favorite books?
Books
you give as gifts?
So I'm not very good at that. I was prepping that question. You teed me up for that one. I would say, so here's my other hack is I'm a really bad reader these days because I read so much, and
you must have so much
we're
content
so
you have to read for all the
distracted.
things you're involved in. Yeah,
I
right.
do.
Yeah.
I have these staff reports that go on and on and on. But I'll tell you what I do, which is Audible. So when I'm running and biking and really in the outdoors a lot of times now, I have a book on Audible, and I really love Peter Heller. He's a great author. He writes a lot of fun, sort of outdoorsy type of mystery adventure books. And then on the nonfiction side, I've been reading Stephen Barnes. I forget the actual name of the book, but it's all about the Transcontinental Railroad and how it came to be. And, being here in Truckee, we're right on the Transcontinental Railroad, and there's so much rich history associated with how that got built. And we have all these now legacy land use issues actually within the Forest Service because they granted all the railroads, all these, this checkerboard of land. That's how they paid them basically. And so now we're sort of cleaning up the mess from that, of all these like private inholdings surrounded by public land. And then, we in the railroad history. And so that's kind of I forget the name of it.
I'll look it up.
It's a really cool book. Stephen Barnes is the author. And it's all about politics and building and the gold rush and fighting for labor and all this really interesting
That's be a good read
stuff. So I've been reading that on my travels and things like
Audible's
that.
Great. I use it a ton. Yeah, it's awesome.
Totally. Yeah.
How about your favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100?
Yeah, no, I love that one. My favorite piece of outdoor gear under $100 is the new. I don't know. We're supposed to be doing product plugs on this show.
Yeah,
but,
hey, that's
okay. It's the new Catadine Be Free bottles.
Those are great.
The soft bottles with the filter built into them.
Yep.
And it took what was already a great invention, which were these soft bottles that started popping up on the market a few years ago. and then threw a Catadine water filter on it, and now you've got the best of both worlds. And now you don't need to carry 10 liters of water. You can basically carry one or not even any.
It doesn't take up a bunch of space in your pack with a filter and all that
stuff. And it's just this awesome solution. It's kind of gotten, Life Straw and Sawyer and all these companies that were doing really well. I would say the Catadine Be-Free product is
cool. I love that.
Kicking butt. So there you go, Catadine. There's your big shout out of the day.
And I think Matt Lyon over there, HydroPack, they got some bottles for that thing too.
Oh yeah, so Matt is awesome because he basically OEMs all that stuff. So Matt,
I got to get him on the show.
The supply. Yeah, Matt's awesome. You should totally get him on the show. He and I have developed quite a great relationship over the past couple of years working on all this California stuff. So and they make all these bottles for, Catadine just makes the filter, but HydroPack makes the actual bottle. So kudos to HydroPack and Matt. Make sure he gets a bunch of shout outs too.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, well, we'll link to all that good stuff. As we wrap up here, anything else you want to say to our listeners or ask of our listeners?
I just asked that I'm really into making a difference these days. Been working with OIA and all the way down to the state and local level, as we head into election season. Make sure you vote. Make sure you get out there. I don't even care who you vote for, but make sure you vote. Make sure you're registered to vote. Make your voice heard. And get involved. It's a really fascinating, I'll leave it at that, time in our national dialogue and kind of everything that's going on in our world. So, make your voice heard, get involved, and make sure you have fun and keep enough time for yourself to get outside and enjoy what we do have. So
perfect. And how can people follow up with you if they have questions or just want to support?
Yeah, totally. Feel free to, you can email me personally. You can always find me at Tahoe Mountain Sports. Okay. My staff might let you through. Otherwise, my personal email is just dave@TahoeMountainSports.com. And Polivy for council. That'll be live for maybe, the next 60 days or so.
Cool, awesome.
And if I get elected, we'll let it go longer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I hope you do.
Over some links and you can include those. But always feel free to reach out to me. I love helping other folks in the industry. And outside the industry too, we're actually supporting a great youth group. They're taking their kids on a leadership program and renting 20 bags and pads, and we're just donating all of that, just to keep that youth enthusiasm and, make the outdoors accessible to all. So
that's it. Perfect.
That's what we're all about.
Right on. That's it. Yeah. Well, we'll link to all that in the show notes, and people can follow up with questions. I'll follow up if I have any questions. Thanks for the time. I appreciate it. You're a busy guy, man. I'm glad I snuck this in.
Thanks for having me on the show. I'm honored, and I really appreciate your time as well. And keep putting out some great content. It's awesome to listen to. I love listening to it all.
Thanks. Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun project, so I'm digging it.
Cool.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Rick.
What an inspiration. Thank you, Dave. I hope you were inspired and enjoyed that conversation with Dave Polivy. You can follow up with Dave at TahoeMountainSports.com and his Truckee Town Council site, PolivyForCouncil.com. Polivy is spelled Polivy. You find links to everything we discussed in the show notes at theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/episode 133. Be sure to hit your favorite podcast app and subscribe today. Thanks for listening. I'd also like to take a minute and thank the Outdoor Biz podcast supporters on Patreon, Scott Oshman and Will Dawson. Thank you for your generous support of the Outdoor Biz podcast, and be sure to get your free hug next time we see each other. I'd love your support too. Please visit patreon.com/theoutdoorbizpodcast and sign up today. Thank you. Today's podcast is brought to you by WordPress. I've used WordPress to build a number of websites, including Stillwater's Consulting and the Outdoor Biz podcast. There are a number of themes and plugins available both free and for purchase, enabling you to easily create the custom look and feel you want. If you're starting an online business, publishing a blog, and looking to take your online presence to the next level, visit theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get going today. With simple installation tools and thousands of themes to choose from, you'll be up and running in no time. Go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com/WordPress and get your site launched today. If you want more of the Outdoor Biz Podcast, you can subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Be sure to go to theoutdoorbizpodcast.com where you'll find all the links to the episodes, show notes, and much, much more. And be sure to make time to get outside and take someone with you.